And welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So Ribcage Studios just had a stream going over what they plan to do for the class reworks or class revamps, where they'll look at a class and consider the bugs that it has and also the capabilities of it dealing competitive damage or fulfilling its role properly. And so this stream was to highlight what they plan to do moving forward, what they have done with the Bard and how well they feel that was successful, and from here on take it a step at a time by going through each of the classes and giving them a bit of love, could you say. And straight up, we know now that they'll be covering the Wizard first. Now, this won't be anytime soon. Now, to start things off with the stream, we have Robert here, the lead systems designer, and Yulia, the community manager, and he just introduced himself, and he's only just returning back to developing on Neverwinter after, I believe, working on Magic, and he jumped straight into the Bard, and he done a lot of really good fixes there, especially on the Minstrel. I still feel the Songblade needs a lot more work, but alas, that won't be happening anytime soon. Somebody asked about different classes being able to, let's say, have combat advantage in AoE, and that definitely gives them a big edge. You look at the Rogue and the Warlock, and he didn't really give a concise answer as to whether he would give that ability to other classes, and so yeah, probably a no. And they'll just do one class revamp per module. They went over the topic of why they're having this stream, and it's literally just to make us aware of that they are working on class changes and updates. Now, they're not going to make any drastic changes, mainly just fixing bugs that have been existing for quite a while and just tuning the different powers. So what can we expect with the Wizard? What kind of changes can we hope to obtain with the different powers and so on? Well, unfortunately for you impatient people out there, this won't be happening until around module 24. Right now, they're just gathering the data on the Wizard, doing a first few passes, seeing what might need changing, what might need tuning. Now you can hear the devs say right here,
an interesting thing that I've noticed with the first batch of data, the Arcanist is not that far below the other classes. I know a Wizard has a reputation of, oh my god, it's so far below. That's not what we're seeing in the numbers.
That yeah, the Arcanist really isn't in a bad state. And so they'll be focusing more on the Thaumaturge Paragon. And what will they do with that? They're going to do something similar to the Bard, however they feel it should be a lot simpler as the Wizard doesn't tend to have as many bugs as the Bard did. So they will more focus on tuning up those powers, increasing their raw magnitudes rather than, let's say, reducing their cooldowns or introducing new powers or switching them from different paragons. That's not likely to happen. They want to keep the main identity of the Wizard, and if you look at D&D, you have them dealing big burst damage like fireballs and things like that. Pretty amazing spells with longer cast times, and overall you have to manage your resource. Now they really wanted to focus on that. They really appreciate community feedback. If you look at what they did with the Bard, they admitted that they took a lot of the changes and a lot of the fixes needed from the community. They looked at all those bug reports on the forums that people were making, and they went through those lists and focused on whatever would be the most important, figuring out which is the most impactful, the bugs that people were bringing up again and again, and also the bugs that those reputable people were bringing up. And for example, Bard was about a third of the bug fixes they came up with themselves, and a third was from player feedback, and then a third was a quality of life adjustments also from player feedback. So they would really appreciate a list of bugs like they had with the Bard, but for the Wizard. So if that's possible on the forums, that would be super helpful for them, where somebody would post an intro for all the bugs, and then people would follow up with all different bugs they found as well. Now, since they're only doing, let's say, one class revamp per module, what's going to be the next class after the Wizard? Well, it's been highly suggested that Paladin will be, but don't hold them to their word as they have no concrete plan set in motion for that just yet, as module 25 is quite a while away. They're again only doing one class per module. Then Julia, the community manager, acknowledged the fact of legacy characters which have access to ancient feats that can give them an edge on the battlefield, and they are aware of this. They have said it's not a widespread issue, so only a small amount of players are impacted, and they don't feel it's that important, but they did confirm they are working on it, but I assume slowly. At the end of the stream, they talked about the Band of Air. Robert wasn't too keen on going into the topic, but ended up going pretty much in length over explaining why they're doing it, etc, etc, all things we've heard before, from wanting their systems group to make sure the balancing of items are done properly, and they don't want the Band of Air procking off procs the way it does. It's a bit ridiculous, and he says yes, it's definitely overpowered and it should be adjusted down. Now they want to try and find that balance and take their time in doing it. He could totally just go and nerf it to the ground right now, this second, but that's not what he wants. So they're going to take their time, try and find that middle ground where the Band of Air is still like really useful, but has other items that can be used, but maybe are only slightly not as good, rather than a 20% damage difference, which is massive, and as the developer said, makes people want to cry when they don't have the Band of Air and they're running with people who do. Overall, I really like the attitude of this dev. He's very honest with how they go through their development process. I'm just sad that all of these things are going to take so much time. It would be nice for them to have a much bigger studio where they could get these changes done within weeks rather than months. But alas, it is what it is. Neverwinter doesn't exactly have the most popularity. I guess they don't make a lot of money, and so they can only pay a certain amount of devs. So with that said, hopefully this was somewhat insightful for you guys. The stream overall, the dev did go on and on about a lot of the same things and repeating it. So again, hopefully this breaks it down nice and short, and I don't believe I've missed anything major. With that said, I'd like to give a massive thank you to all of my channel members for helping me keep my channel going. If I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.